Nyck de Vries is one of those drivers who's always been on the fringes of Formula One, but an impressive cameo at the Italian Grand Prix has finally turned his fortunes around and earned him a seat for next year. Is he a bit too old to be an F1 rookie though? Well, in today's video, we're gonna talk about the driver's verdict on his age and some praise from Toto Wolff. So keep watching. First off, de Vries disregards doubts about his age. Despite being brilliant in both Formula E and Formula 2, the Dutchman has never really been able to get an opportunity to make that final jump onto the Formula 1 grid. Of course, there are a billion different reasons for that, as it's not like he hasn't had tests with F1 teams. Still, he spent almost half of his senior career knocking on the sport's door without a response. Until now. Who knew that it would take Alex Albon getting sick to put de Vries into the Williams seat for a proper race weekend? But hey, you've got to take your chances. And boy, he did. Most people weren't expecting any sort of greatness from him in Italy. After all, a 27-year-old debutante isn't impressive at all in this day and age, especially when you've seen drivers like Verstappen win their first race at 18. Besides, the Williams has been one of the worst cars on the grid all year long anyway. None of that mattered to him though, as he went ahead and proved everyone wrong, raking in an impressive points finish in his Grand Prix debut. And now that he's earned a seat at AlphaTauri, he's not taking any more criticisms. Speaking to F1's Beyond the Grid podcast, the Dutchman said that when he's performing well on the track, his age should be the last thing that should matter. The driver labeled it irrelevant and honed in on the fact that he was more determined than ever to prove his doubters wrong, just like he's always done in other categories. Up next, the Dutchman looks back on a roller coaster journey. Even though the rise of Nyck de Vries has been super quick over the past few months, he's had to suffer in the lower leagues for almost a decade. Seriously, he's won both the F2 and Formula E championships, which should be good enough to push you through to the main thing. But things just haven't worked out for him. What's more, the driver is fully aware that he's gonna be 28 when he gets his 2023 campaign underway, which automatically stacks the odds against him. That being said, he's determined to only focus on the positives. After all, he wouldn't have been this developed and mature driver without going through those hardships. And according to him, everyone walks a different path to reach the top. So the only thing that matters in the end is getting the opportunity when the time is right and responding well to it. Then again, it hasn't been easy for him by any stretch of the imagination. As a matter of fact, he admitted that he felt stuck in limbo at times and didn't think he'd ever get the chance to realize his dream, which of course is racing in Formula 1. Obviously, he didn't fully give up on it, but there was always that lingering thought at the back of his mind, wondering whether he was even good enough to deserve the next step. Now that he's here, however, he isn't taking anything for granted and is super grateful for everything that's happened over the past year or so. What's more, de Vries shares his recipe for success. As we've mentioned earlier, the Dutchman doesn't fit the mold of your ordinary Formula 1 rookie. Not only is he in his late 20s, but he's also got a ton of racing experience under his belt. Like, for context, the guy has probably raced more than two-time champion Max Verstappen himself, so surely he's gonna be more mature with his racecraft, right? But then again, you start to look at all the criticisms about how he's never raced in F1 before. In addition, he's coming in as a 27-year-old isn't ideal, especially when there are other promising youngsters like Logan Sargent out there. Having said that, de Vries thinks that his age is more of an advantage than a hindrance. How? Well, according to him, while Monza was very very overwhelming, his experience and maturity helped him remain very grounded. Not only that, but he probably wouldn't have performed as well without the years of experience either. And to be fair to him, taming an F1 car on your first ever outing isn't child's play by any stretch of the imagination. Plus, elite drivers rarely tend to lose their nerves when put into a tricky situation, something that the Dutchman handled brilliantly as well. Not to mention the Dutchman's relationship with Tsunoda. When he joins AlphaTauri next year, Nyck de Vries will be replacing the Alpine-bound Pierre Gasly. And of course, that means he's gonna be racing next to Yuki Tsunoda, who's 5 years younger than him. There's no such thing as a rivalry here though, as the 27-year-old is actually looking forward to working with the Japanese driver. In fact, according to the Dutchman, he's been one of Yuki's biggest supporters throughout his F2 journey. What's more, he also said that he really enjoys watching him, cause he's obviously an entertaining young guy who isn't afraid to speak his opinion. Now, we expect some form of friendly rivalry to develop between the two over the course of next season, as that's just how these team relationships work. Interestingly enough, de Vries coming in would also make AlphaTauri's driver lineup the shortest one on the grid, and he had some fun stuff to say about that as well. Continuing his Beyond the Grid interview, he said it'll be the first time in his career that he'll have a smaller teammate. He then joked that at least they've got the same shoe size. Besides, even if this driver pairing doesn't seem exciting on paper, it's got the potential to be one of the most explosive partnerships on the grid. Now for Toto Wolff's words of praise for Nyck de Vries. Let's be honest here, if there's anyone on the F1 grid who's good at noticing talent, it's Helmut Marko and Toto Wolff. After all, their academies and transfer market business have been top-notch over the past decade. So if the Mercedes boss thinks someone's good, you better believe him. The Silver Arrows team principal praised de Vries after his impressive debut in Monza, and according to him, while being fast definitely helps in this business, you also have to be intelligent and a good team player to succeed fully. Luckily for the Dutchman, he has all of those qualities and some. Imagine testing an Aston Martin one day only to get called up for a Williams run at the very last minute. Switching cars and setups like that isn't easy at all, which makes de Vries' performance even more impressive. Oh, and then he also went ahead and beat his teammate Nicholas Latifi by a pretty huge margin. The point is, the 27-year-old has shown just how much talent he's got, and that's exactly what Wolff echoed in his interview as well. In fact, he even went as far as to say that no one else could have done a better job than him on the day. For him, starting 8th and finishing 9th in a Williams is seriously impressive, and even Niki Lauda would have taken his hat off as a driver in that scenario. So de Vries definitely deserves all the plaudits he's getting now. Coming up, Mercedes still interested in de Vries as a driver. Now, if you don't know, Nyck de Vries was actually a part of the Mercedes driver program when he was racing in Formula E, and it was only when the team stopped racing in the series that they had to release the Dutchman from his contract. Of course, it's never great to let a driver like that go, but Toto Wolff says that it wasn't really something that was under their control, and when asked about his relationship with the Dutchman, Wolff said that while they don't have any official contract with him anymore, they still know him very well. After all, he won their first world championship in Formula E for them. The most important thing, though, is the fact that they still rate him as a driver and are keeping a key eye on him. So maybe a Mercedes breakthrough is on the cards for him after all. Finally, can de Vries go higher than AlphaTauri? It seems like the Silver Arrows really like de Vries, cause guess what? Even Lewis Hamilton's been full of praise for the 27-year-old. And according to him, jumping into your first race and finishing in the top 10 is an incredible achievement. So with Toto Wolff and Hamilton both liking what they're seeing, does he actually have a future at a top team like Mercedes? Well, if he continues to outshine his teammates in 2023, we don't see a reason why not. After all, there are some spots opening both at Red Bull and Mercedes in the near future, as Sergio Perez and Hamilton both inch toward the back end of their careers. So at this point, the sky sky really is the limit for Nyck de Vries. That's a wrap for this video. Do you think the Dutchman can succeed in F1? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.